There is a secret that major corporations don't want you to know. While they sell you products with expiration dates designed to make you buy more, there exists a secret list of foods that can last for entire generations without losing a single gram of their nutritional power. We aren't talking about canned food loaded with chemical preservatives. We are talking about real, ancient foods proven by centuries of human history. When the financial system collapses, when banks close their doors and digital money vanishes in an instant, you will discover that everything you thought was valuable was just an illusion. Luxury cars will rust in the streets, jewelry will lose all meaning, banknotes will become useless paper. But these 7 foods, these silent warriors of survival, will become the new currency of exchange, the true gold of the post-collapse world. Most people live in a bubble of comfortable ignorance. They believe there will always be a supermarket open on the corner. They blindly trust that trucks will keep arriving every morning loaded with fresh produce. They laugh at preppers, calling them paranoid, exaggerated, doomsday lunatics. But history does not lie. Every civilization that fell experienced exactly the same thing. First, fresh food disappears, then processed goods, then comes the looting, the violence, the desperate hunger that turns normal people into wild beasts. And amidst that chaos, only those who kept ancestral knowledge, who understood that preparation is not paranoia, but pure intelligence, survive. These 7 foods are your insurance policy against the apocalypse, your lifeline when everything goes under. The first food you must know is raw, unprocessed honey. This golden liquid is literally immortal. Archaeologists have found honey that is 3,000 years old in Egyptian pyramids, and it was still perfectly edible. Why? Because honey is a hostile environment for any form of microbial life. Its low water content, its natural acidity, and its antibacterial enzymes create a chemical fortress where bacteria simply cannot survive. When the world crumbles and pharmacies are looted, honey will be your natural antibiotic. It heals wounds, prevents infections, soothes burns, calms sore throats, and provides instant energy when your body is pushed to the limit of collapse. A single spoonful can be the difference between having the strength to keep walking or falling exhausted on the road of no return. But honey is more than medicine. It is a universal preservative. In a world without refrigeration, without electricity, without the cold chain that modern society takes for granted, you will need ways to preserve other foods you find. Honey can preserve fruits for years. It can coat meats and protect them from decay. It can be mixed with medicinal herbs to create healing salves. And best of all, it needs absolutely nothing to stay perfect. It requires no special containers, no controlled temperature, no additional chemicals. It may crystallize over time, yes, but that doesn't mean it's spoiled. Simply heat it gently and it will return to its original liquid state, ready to save lives once again. Honey does not age, it does not rot, it never dies. The second food on this ultimate survival list is white rice, and here comes a fact that many modern nutritionists hate to admit. The brown rice they promote so much has an expiration date, but properly stored white rice can last 30 years or more without losing its basic nutritional properties. Why this dramatic difference? Because brown rice contains natural oils in its husk that eventually go rancid. White rice, stripped of that layer, is almost pure, stable starch, carbohydrates that your body can convert into energy decades after being packed. In times of extreme crisis, rice becomes the backbone of human nutrition, the foundation upon which you build every meal, however miserable it may be. White rice is absolute versatility in grain form. It can be combined with anything you manage to hunt, gather, or grow. Protein-rich insects, wild roots, bitter herbs, small animals, fish from questionable water.
Everything becomes edible and nutritious when mixed with rice. It provides the necessary calories to keep your body functioning day after day, week after week, while you learn to adapt to the brutal new world surrounding you. Rice allows you to ration with mathematical precision, to calculate how long you can hold out, to plan your movements without the constant fear of running out of energy. While other foods fill with poisonous mold or are devoured by insect plagues, white rice sealed in airtight containers remains intact, patiently waiting for the moment you need it to survive one more day. The third food is pure sea salt, and this is not dramatic exaggeration. Without salt, your body literally begins to self-destruct. Salt regulates fluid balance, allows your nerves to transmit signals, makes your muscles contract correctly, and maintains your blood pressure at functional levels. In extreme survival situations, when you are constantly sweating from physical exertion, when you suffer diarrhea from contaminated water, when your body loses electrolytes at a dangerous speed, salt can literally be the difference between life and sudden death. But beyond its vital function in your body's chemistry, salt is the oldest and most effective preservative humanity has known. With salt, you can cure meats and fish, making them last months without refrigeration, creating protein reserves for the darkest times to come. Pure salt never expires in the real sense of the word. It can absorb moisture from the environment. It can form hard blocks. It can change texture and appearance, but its chemical composition remains stable through the centuries. Salt deposits are millions of years old and remain perfectly usable. In total collapse, salt will become a trading currency more valuable than gold or diamonds, because while precious stones keep no one alive, salt does. Desperate people will give you everything they have for a handful of salt when their bodies begin to fail, when muscle cramps paralyze them, when severe dehydration puts them on the verge of a coma. Hoard salt as if it were the most precious treasure in your apocalyptic pantry, because in many ways, it is exactly that.
The fourth food that will never lose its power is refined white sugar. And I know this contradicts everything health gurus preach nowadays. They will tell you that sugar is poison, that it destroys your body, that you must eliminate it completely from your diet. But those tips are for times of peace and abundance, not for the brutal reality of civilizational collapse. When your body is on the verge of energetic shock, when you have walked 30 kilometers carrying everything you own, when you have gone days eating barely the minimum to keep breathing, sugar is pure and immediate fuel. A spoonful can lift you from the edge of fainting, can give you the explosive energy you need to run when danger appears, can keep you conscious when your brain begins to shut down from a lack of glucose. Properly stored white sugar lasts indefinitely, decades, entire generations without losing a pinch of its capacity to provide instant energy. Beyond its function as a source of quick calories, sugar is an extremely effective preservative. You can make concentrated syrups that preserve fruits for years. You can ferment basic drinks that not only provide calories, but also purify questionable water through the process of alcoholic fermentation. You can trade it for other goods when the formal economy collapses and barter becomes the only form of commerce. Sugar may harden, it may form blocks solid as stone, but it remains functional sugar. It breaks with a hammer, dissolves in hot water, and fulfills its purpose of keeping human beings alive in extreme conditions. When food is brutally scarce, the human body does not ask for nutritional sophistication or a perfect balance of macronutrients. The body asks for pure energy, simple fuel, calories to keep it running a few more hours, and sugar answers that desperate call without ever failing. The fifth food is natural vinegar of any kind, and this acidic liquid is probably one of the most underrated items in all apocalypse preparation. Vinegar is practically indestructible. It does not expire, it does not spoil, it only gets stronger and more concentrated with the passage of time. It serves countless critical purposes in a world without modern infrastructure. You can pickle vegetables in vinegar for months or years, creating nutrient reserves when fresh plants disappear. You can clean contaminated surfaces when you have no access to industrial chemical products. You can disinfect minor wounds when antibiotics have long since run out. You can control bacterial growth in questionable foods, giving you a slight edge against foodborne illnesses that will kill millions in the post-collapse chaos. Vinegar also helps with the digestion of difficult foods, those you will find when you have no choice but to eat tough roots, meat from unknown animals, wild plants of dubious quality. A little vinegar can make the difference between absorbing some nutrients from that terrible food or simply expelling it without gaining any benefit. In a world without cleaning products, without accessible antibiotics, without the modern hygiene everyone takes for granted, vinegar will be your silent defense against diseases that in the past killed entire populations. It needs no refrigeration, requires no special containers. While other liquids become contaminated with dangerous bacteria, vinegar remains stable, acidic, hostile to microbial life, functional for decades, waiting for the moment you desperately need it to survive one more day in the hell the world will become. The sixth food is dry legumes in their natural state. Lentils hard as stones, dry black beans, unprocessed chickpeas, not those canned versions that expire in a few years. Properly stored dry legumes can last 30 years or more, and when you finally cook them, they will provide high-quality plant protein, fiber your digestive system desperately needs, essential minerals that prevent deficiency diseases, and most importantly, real satiety that lasts for hours. Legumes are long-term endurance food. They don't give you quick energy spikes followed by brutal crashes. They keep your body functioning steadily, providing sustained fuel that allows you to work, walk, defend yourself, and think clearly when others are weakened by constant hunger and severe malnutrition. But there is something even more important about legumes that most people are completely unaware of. They can be sprouted. Take a handful of dry lentils, leave them in clean water overnight, keep them moist for a few days, and they will begin to sprout. Those sprouts will exponentially multiply their nutritional value, creating fresh vegetables from old seeds, without the need for fertile soil, without fertilizers, without advanced agricultural technology. In total collapse, when animal protein is extremely difficult to find, when meat disappears from your diet for weeks or months, when animals have migrated or died due to catastrophic environmental changes, legumes will fill that critical void. While others suffer the muscle weakness that comes with a lack of protein, you will have these miraculous seeds waiting patiently in your dark, dry pantry, ready to transform into life when you need them to survive one more day in the hell the world will become. The fifth and final food on this ultimate list is virgin coconut oil. And here comes another truth the food industry doesn't want you to comprehend. While other vegetable oils go rancid in months, developing toxic compounds that can make you seriously ill, coconut oil can last for years, even decades if stored correctly in dark, airtight containers. Why this dramatic difference? Because of its unique composition of saturated fatty acids that are extremely stable and resistant to oxidation. Coconut oil is pure fat, dense calories, concentrated energy in liquid or solid form depending on the temperature. In times of brutal scarcity, when calories are more valuable than any precious metal, coconut oil can keep you alive when other foods simply don't provide enough energy to justify the effort of searching for them. Beyond its function as a source of quick calories, coconut oil has natural antibacterial and antifungal properties thanks to its lauric acid content. You can cook questionable foods, reducing the risk of bacterial diseases. You can apply it to wounds to prevent infection when you have no access to modern antibiotics. You can use it as fuel for makeshift lamps when electricity is just a distant memory. You can trade it for other essential goods because people will recognize its value in a world where healthy fats have become incredibly scarce. Coconut oil is absolute versatility in a container that fits in your survival backpack, that requires no refrigeration, that remains stable under extreme conditions of heat or cold, that would destroy other foods in days or weeks of continuous exposure.
Now comes the moment of uncomfortable truth that you must understand with absolute clarity. These 7 foods can keep you alive for months, perhaps even years if you ration them with military discipline. They can give you the energy needed to keep breathing, to keep your body functioning, to think with the minimal clarity you need to make critical decisions. But here is the brutal reality no one wants to face. This apocalyptic pantry does not exist to give you a comfortable and prolonged life. It exists to buy you time, precious and limited time for you to learn the real survival skills that will determine if you live or die when these supplies finally run out. Because they will run out. No matter how much you store, no matter how carefully you ration, eventually you will reach the bottom of the last container and face a definitive decision. The difference between those who survive long-term and those who merely prolong their agony for a few more months is this. Real survivors use their reserve of non-perishable foods as a launch pad to learn how to obtain food from the natural world. While they eat rice and legumes, they are studying which wild plants are edible and which are poisonous. While they consume honey and sugar, they are learning to identify unconventional sources of protein, nutrient-rich insects, worms, larvae, small rodents, birds others consider filthy but that provide the calories necessary to survive another day. While they use salt and vinegar to preserve foods, they are developing hunting and gathering techniques that will allow them to feed themselves when the last grain of rice has been consumed and nothing is left in the pantry except empty containers and memories of easier times. Most people who store supplies for the apocalypse make the same fatal mistake. They feel safe having food stored away, but they never learn to obtain food from the environment. They sit in their shelters, consuming their reserves day after day, counting the days remaining like prisoners marking time until inevitable execution. And when the last stored food runs out, they go out desperate into a world they do not understand, without survival skills, without knowledge of the terrain, without the ability to distinguish what nourishes from what kills. They die quickly, their weakened bodies unable to adapt to the brutal reality of living directly off the land. Their carefully prepared pantries only prolonged their suffering, only delayed the inevitable, because they never developed the capabilities that actually matter in the long run of total collapse. So, how do you correctly use these 7 immortal foods? You use them as your safety net while you learn to be a true forager and hunter of the post-collapse world. Every day you eat from your reserve is a day you should be exploring your environment, identifying permanent water sources, observing which small animals are abundant in your area, studying which plants grow in different seasons, learning the natural rhythms of the local ecosystem that will keep you alive when modern food is just a memory. Honey gives you energy to walk miles exploring unknown territories. Rice provides base calories while you experiment with wild plants that might make you sick if you don't have enough food in your stomach. Legumes keep you strong while you practice primitive hunting techniques that require patience, repeated failures, painful learning. Water will be your treasure map in the new world. Where there is permanent water, there is life. Small fish you can catch with makeshift nets, or even your hands if you are patient. Frogs and toads that provide surprisingly nutritious protein. Freshwater crustaceans hiding under rocks. Aquatic insects you can dry and store as emergency protein reserves. Birds that come to drink at dawn and dusk. Predictable moments you can use to set simple traps. You don't need huge rivers full of giant salmon. A simple creek, a persistent pond, even a large puddle that doesn't dry out during the dry season. All these small bodies of water indicate a relative abundance of life that you can convert into calories if you have the knowledge and patience to do it correctly without wasting precious energy. And here is where these 7 immortal foods show their true strategic value. Salt allows you to preserve any animal you capture, turning a single catch into food for several days or weeks. Vinegar reduces the risk of foodborne illness when you're eating things of dubious quality because you have no other choice. Sugar and honey allow you to regain strength quickly after an exhausting day of foraging, avoiding the deadly cycle where you spend more calories looking for food than you gain by finding it. Coconut oil provides the dense fats your brain needs to function correctly, to make smart decisions instead of desperate decisions that lead to death. This pantry allows you to keep calm, think before acting, not take stupid risks driven by hunger that clouds your judgment and leads you directly into dead-end situations. In the real apocalypse, most deaths won't be from an absolute lack of food. They will be from the chaotic search for food. People who walk too far and spend too much energy chasing rumors of food that turn out to be false. People who eat unknown plants because desperate hunger pushes them to take fatal risks. People who fight over small resources and die in violent conflicts they could have avoided if they had enough food to think clearly. People who move constantly, never learning their local territory, never developing deep knowledge of a specific area, always being strangers in lands they don't understand. These 7 foods give you something money will never be able to buy in the collapse. Time to learn without the constant pressure of immediate hunger. Mental space to observe rather than act desperately. The capacity to be patient when patience is the difference between life and death. Surviving the apocalypse isn't about having the most food stored. It's about using that food wisely as your educational tool, as your ticket into the new world where ancient rules don't apply and only the adaptable remain alive. These 7 foods are your foundation, your starting point, your head start in a race where most begin with severe hunger and total despair. Use them to become someone who doesn't just consume resources, but understands how to extract them directly from the natural world. Because when the last grain of rice disappears and the last container sits empty, there will only be 2 types of people on the devastated planet: those who learned to live off the land and those who are slowly dying while waiting for a rescue that will never come.